Thursday on Daily Delivery. I am Michael Rand, happy to be back for another day. Hope everyone's having a terrific day out there today. We have reached the convergence part of our schedule more dramatically than ever before. If you don't know, which I'm sure you do, if you were listening to this podcast, NFL draft tonight, which I'll get to here in just a minute. Vikings on the clock at number 24. We'll see if they stay there, see if they move down, see exactly what they do. Wild versus Vegas tonight, Game 3 at XL Energy Center. That series tied 1-1. Tomorrow night, the draft continues, rounds 2 and 3, and Wolves-Lakers at Target Center. Saturday, draft concludes. Wild Vegas Game 4 at XL Energy Center. And then Sunday, you've got no draft, but you got Wolves-Lakers Game 4 at Target Center. And oh, by the way, Twins playing throughout all of that at Target Field. One more this afternoon against the White Sox, and then a series against the Angels. So this is going to be a big stretch of 4 days in Minnesota sports. Those are not even the only things going on, but those are the most prominent things, certainly, that are happening in the next 4 days. We will have you covered with all of that. Velle E, Neal III joins me here in just a little bit. Daily Delivery debate time, talking Wild Wolves. Which of these two teams, both series tied 1-1, which of these two teams do we have more confidence in now in advancing in the playoffs? And what are the odds of both advancing, one or the other advancing, or neither advancing? We will get into that here in our segment, plus some Vikings talk and a little bit of Twins talk at the end of that segment with Lavelle. I've got more Twins thoughts at the end of the show as well. First, though, what I miss, I was struck by the NFL draft because I'm just thinking about it. Obviously, it's tonight. It starts, like I said, Vikings on the clock, number 24. A much different draft than it was last year, right? At this time last year, we knew with certainty that the Vikings were targeting a quarterback. We knew that they wanted to go into that draft to get their quarterback of the future. We didn't know who it was going to be yet. We didn't know how they were going to get it yet. But we knew that basically they had moved on from Kirk Cousins. They had already signed Sam Darnold to be kind of the bridge guy, the one-year deal with Sam Darnold. It was unknown at that point if Darnold was even going to, be the starter. It was just, hey, you need somebody in case this guy's not ready. You need somebody to kind of ease that glide path into the league. So they went into the draft with I think 11 and 23 in the first round last season. End up trading up to 10 to get J.J. McCarthy. End up trading up again to 17 to get Dallas Turner. So there you have two guys, premium picks, both of them expected to have huge impacts at some point in their Vikings careers, but neither one of them necessarily called upon to play a ton last season, right? Because McCarthy gets hurt in the preseason. Sam Darnold plays the whole season, plays very well. Becomes a Pro Bowler, throws for over 4,000 yards, takes the Vikings to the playoffs, gets a big offseason contract from the Seahawks, and he is gone. Dallas Turner maybe didn't, burst onto the scene. He had some big plays, but also playing a position that's shared by Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. How are you supposed to get on the field more if those guys are playing at high levels, at consideration for Defensive Player of the Year levels to a certain degree? So he didn't get on the field as much, but also some of it's the learning curve for rookies. So fast forward to this year. I'm just trying to imagine if the Vikings had not been successful in getting their quarterback of the future last year. They knew this draft was coming. They knew this was not a quarterback draft. They were proactive last season in a way they didn't have to be necessarily for the short term. They knew they could ride it out with the bridge quarterback. They didn't know Darnold was going to be as good as he was, but they knew that at some point they needed to develop a quarterback, and they knew that was the draft to do it. Not 23, not 25, but 24. So they did that. Even if McCarthy didn't play a single down last season, which he did not, the plan was basically this is his time. So I'm kind of looking at this draft, the 2025 draft, where they only have 4 picks. Now they might get more, might trade down, get some more picks. Basically like, you're kind of a full cycle behind in both of these drafts. I don't think we tend to look at them that way. We probably should. We look for immediate impact. We look for draft grades. Who's going to help right away? Who are these rookie impacts going to be? The Vikings, their biggest impacts are almost certainly going to come from their 2024 draft class, from McCarthy and Turner. Those first 2 picks they made at the top of the draft, 10 and 17, trading up to get into those positions, having the ammunition to maybe go higher and get a different guy if there was a trade available there. They looked at Drake May, things like that, but ended up at 10 and 17. Those are the guys that should be making immediate impacts this season. The guys they are drafting now, maybe outside of whoever take with the first round pick, this is all about building for 2026 and beyond. They need to build up future depth, which I wrote about yesterday. Their future depth is crucial right now. Not so much for this season. They've done a good job in free agency the last 2 years of building up their talent pool. You can't just keep spending indefinitely, though. So this draft, to me, is more about 2026 and beyond. Can you start restocking your depth? They're going to do it more next year, too. I would love to see them be able to trade down this season because I don't think this is as much about premium picks this year as it is about accumulating a lot of guys who can contribute. Some this year, if you are fortunate, but more in 2026 and beyond, where the roster holes are going to start showing up, where all these backloaded free agent contracts are going to start showing up. J.J. McCarthy's cap number this year, manageable throughout the rest of his tenure, but guys like Justin Jefferson, I think his cap number goes from like $15 million this year to $38 million next year. Numbers are going to start to go up. They can always convert things, move things around, give themselves more cap space, but the bills will come due at a certain point. They're not really coming due this season because they are still trying to compete this year. I think they have kind of leveraged this so that they have more young talent coming into the fold soon, not so much this year. So this is important. You got to get this draft right. You got to start getting these drafts right. You got to start getting contributions from your younger players. So that's what I'm watching for in this draft. I'm watching for, can they do that? Can they restock their depth chart with guys who are not acquired in free agency? Because that's something they have not been able to do so far. That is kind of the dichotomy of their roster right now. They've been great in free agency. They've been pretty bad in the draft. Can they get those two things to balance out? Because it is going to be essential to their future success that they do.
It is daily delivery debate time with Velle E. Neal III, Star Tribune columnist. No shortage of stuff right now, Velle. These next, 4 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in the Twin Cities, depending on which side of the river you're on. They will be a playoff game. Games 3 and 4, Wolves and Wild, starts Thursday with Wild Vegas at XL Energy Center. Friday, Wolves Lakers, and they just kind of trade off for 4 nights, 4 days, 4 nights. That brings me to the first subject of the debate, Velle. Both teams come home tied 1-1. Based on everything you've seen, whose chances do you like better at this point to advance through to the second round?
That's actually a tougher one than you would initially think, just because of the fact that in the Wild series, Kirill Kaprizov is playing as well as he can. Boldy's playing as well as he could possibly can. And the Wild looked like the team that they were when in game 2, looked like the team they were the first 30 games of the regular season. And the Las Vegas Golden Knights' best players have not shown up. That's Hurdle, that's Eichel, and that's Theodore. They have been invisible. And it looks like that. All of a sudden you start thinking about the Wild's opportunity to get out of the first round, which a lot of us didn't think. We thought that that Las Vegas was the overwhelming favorite. But I'm going to say the Wolves, especially after that emphatic first game 1 victory. And let's not forget that national media just automatically went with the Luka LeBron angle. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're getting paid by the league office to say those things. You don't know how this is going to transpire as we go along the series, but it was almost a complete sweep of national pundits saying that, the Lakers are going to win this one. It was like no deal. People had them losing and winning in 5 games. I think that the game 1 performance by the Wolves was so comprehensive that it is should change the entire way the series is looked at. It should be looked at as a team with a lot of depth playing against a team with two of the top 15 players in the world on the same roster. And when the Wolves are playing collectively, when they're connected and when they're not losing their composure and moving the ball, moving without the ball, they can carve up a team like the Lakers, who they're bigger than. They have a height advantage and just a talent advantage, I think, when you compare Rui Hachimura and some of these other guys that they're throwing out there. Austin Reeves is a nice player.
He's fine.
I'd take him over Mike Conley. I would.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I like Naz Reid. I think Reid would be the number 3 on that team. I think Jay McDaniels would be definitely pushing to be the number 3, probably 4 though with Austin Reeves, because Reeves is a guard. They would love to have Rudy Gobert on that team. That would take a lot of pressure off of Luka and LeBron defensively, especially Luka, who likes to wave people. Oh, you want to go to a basket? Sure, go ahead. I know there's 2 or 3 times we actually stepped up his defense in game 2, and all of a sudden you're getting credit for like raising his defensive intensity. I'm like, have you seen the entire body of this man's defensive work throughout his career? So I just like the Wolves' ability to win this. They have Anthony Edwards, who's a superstar player. I liked how Julius Randle played. His performances in the postseason were not going into this series. He averaged a playoff career. He scored a playoff career high 27 points. When they're moving the ball, hitting open threes. And look, the Lakers did raise their defensive intensity. The Wolves didn't handle it properly. But you know what? The Lakers could not run away from the game. The Wolves found their offense as the game went along. And if they hit some more open shots and did not turn the ball over 3 consecutive possessions in the fourth quarter, we're looking at a potential 2-0 series lead. I like the Wolves' chances of moving on better than I do the Wild's.
I think I'm with you. This was an easier question before the games of Tuesday night, right? We loved the Wolves in game 1. I didn't love the Wild in game 1. Like other people, I mean, it wasn't a disaster, but the shortcomings of the Wild in this series are pretty obvious. If they start calling more penalties in this series, it's going to be very negative for them because Vegas has a top 3 power play. They have a bottom 3 penalty kill, and that's just going to be a tough thing for them to overcome. But their first line has, by and large, dominated in this series so far. And hockey, the margins in hockey are different. Like you're always going to have a greater chance in an upset where it's a race to 3 or 4 instead of a race to 120, or as it turned out the other night, 94 in the NBA. So you've got that going for you if you are the Wolves and the Wild and in this kind of chase. I worry about the Wolves if they get into one or multiple games where it's a 1 possession or 2 possession game at the end. I don't think that favors them. I think the Lakers, but just because of what Luka has done in the past, LeBron's pedigree, everything like that, I worry about their ability. They've got closers. The Wolves don't have the same closers the Lakers do. Right. So I wonder how that looks in a setting like that. But I think the Wolves' best is better than the Lakers' best based on what we've seen. And I still think Vegas' best is probably better than the Wild's best, and that's what it comes down to in kind of trying to suss out the rest of this series.
Yeah, I agree, because I think going into the series, Las Vegas is a bigger team. They should be a deeper team. And in game 1, a buddy of mine who played hockey in college for Hamlin, he was like, the offensive spacing is brilliant. The passing lanes they create for each other is fantastic. I mean, that's the way you should be playing offensive hockey. So they have that capability. It's just that their guys I don't know if it's because the Wild have gotten so physical with them in these first 2 games with the hits. Foligno's been a monster in that game, in those first 2 games. I don't know if they're having trouble dealing with that, but Eichel should be the second best player on the ice behind Kaprizov, and he has not looked anything like it. And you mentioned the penalty thing. We've already seen evidence of whistle swallowing in the first 2 games.
Oh, yeah.
Hartman started bleeding on the ice after getting cross-checked, and they didn't call it.
Kaprizov got punched in a scrum in the third period, and they didn't call it on in game 2 either.
Foligno looked like he got slew-footed in game 2, and that wasn't called.
Erickson did too. Yes. I will say this, though. This, by and large, this benefits the Wild, the whistle swallow. They can complain all they want about the calls they're not getting. They don't want a game where there's a lot of penalties called.
No, they don't, because like you said, Las Vegas has a high-powered power play, and the Wild, they signed Jakob Treinen to help out the penalty kill, but we have not seen evidence of that. I mean, it was okay at the beginning of the year, but it's gotten worse. And I don't know why the Wild can't figure out specialty teams. This is something that's been going on for 3 or 4 seasons now. And I'm sure that's going to be on the drawing board during the offseason. But right now, you just want to avoid being in those situations.
I haven't seen any kind of line combinations. Maybe we won't see that till Thursday morning. I have to wonder if the rookie 19-year-old defenseman draws out for Game 3 based on the fact that A, they're not calling penalties, and because his thing's the power play, and B, -2 in a 5-2 win. It's hard to be a -2, but he and Bogosian were, both those goals were when they were on the ice, even though they were only on the ice for 10 minutes of Game 2. I got to think that they go with a different defensive third pairing in Game 3.
It's totally possible. I mean, in Game 1, he got caught throwing a lazy pass that got picked off. And in Game 2, he actually had a nice poke check to move the puck away, but it bounced right to someone else for a goal. And then he was on the ice when I can't remember who scored the second goal for Las Vegas, but from the high slot. But he was standing within 5 feet of the guy when it was scored. So my only thing about this, Mike, that means John Merrill may be back in the pairing. We've seen John Merrill so many times this year come in and just be a turnover machine. The return of John Merrill. I'd like to see the offensive capability. I like to see the upside of William instead of John Merrill, I think, because every time he plays, you see 3 or 4 things that just drive you nuts.
Yeah. That's fair. I don't know. We'll see. Here's the last thing on this subject. Okay, let's put some percentages on it. Percentage chance both these teams make it out of the first round. Percentage chance it's one or the other. Percentage chance they both get bounced in the first round.
Whew. I would say that 55% chance that one moves on. I would say 20% chance that both move on. And
that gives you 25% chance
that both. I want to switch that 25 to one and 20% to both. But God, it's Minnesota sports. So I'm going to keep it at 25.
I would say, I'm close on that. I was going to say like 20% chance they both make it. 50% chance one of them makes it, 30% chance neither of them make it. I'm gonna give it a slightly down odds, but basically both of them have taken away the home advantage the other team already had because it's
they
1-1.
Both have 3 of the next 4 games at home.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's true.
Look at it there. Yep.
Opportunity is there, Lavelle. We'll see if they can do it. They have not both advanced in the playoffs in the same season ever. They very rarely play in the playoffs in the same season ever, so this would be a first if they could both get through at the same time.
You know, the Wolves went to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, the Wolves went to Western Conference Finals with KG and Wally.
It was the year before that. The year before that, the Wild made their run.
That was the Andrew Brunette goal against Colorado?
Yeah, that was the year before. That was the year before. Okay. And the year before that, the Wolves were in a competitive series against the Lakers, but they lost in, I think, 6 in that one. Not the Western Conference Finals, the first round that year. So they've never advanced in the same year. Each franchise has only won 4 playoff series ever in their history. Both of them, 4 playoff series.
It's been going on about having to stay up late to watch one team, let alone 2.
10 o'clock, though.
If they could both advance out of the next first round and have more of this for another week, there'll be a work slowdown in town because everybody'd be too tired in the morning from staying up and watching sports.
That's true. There would be, although depending on what the matchups were, maybe it wouldn't be as bad. Let's say Houston beats Golden State, and it's the West Coast thing that's killing you more than anything. It's not just the fact that they're in the playoffs, but yeah, the 10 o'clock Wild start. Like, come on, that should be illegal to start a game that late in someone's home market time zone. That game got over at like 12:48 a.m.
Book Trap was like at 10:10, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was sitting up editing a Wolves podcast that we had just done, and the game was still on. I'm like, I'm going to watch the third period while I'm doing this. It was fine for me because I was up anyway, but I don't think a lot of people enjoyed the timing of that. So add to the mix now, Lavelle. Thursday night, NFL draft starts in conjunction with the Wild game. Friday, it continues in conjunction with the Wolves game. Vikings currently only have 4 picks, a first, a third, a fifth, and a sixth. Good chance, I think, that they try to trade down and get another pick or two. They don't necessarily need huge impact. They could probably use, I think they have room for at least a couple starters, but they're probably drafting more for the future than anything, or at least trying to establish some depth here. I want to hear from you, though. What to you is a best case scenario for them out of this draft? And I will even entertain your thoughts on the Bears as well.
I think they need to add to their defensive secondary for sure. Can't have enough good cornerbacks. Plus, you don't know, Harrison's back for another year. Is he going to make it 15? Is he going to make a run for 15? Or do you need to have a succession plan working now? Linemen, you can't have enough linemen in this day and age. So I expect them to come out with a defensive back, a defensive lineman, maybe another wide receiver. It's going to be Jordan Addison may be whacked here for a few games for his driving habits. Yeah. So how you gonna address that? And then I think there's only 2 tight ends on the roster, right? Someone mentioned
Josh Oliver and TJ Hawkinson. Can't remember if they still have. I don't know what happened to the other guys. Munt signed somewhere else, right? He signed with
they can use
Jacksonville.
Tight end depth. And
yeah.
How will they look at that? Will they just find a guy who's more of a blocking tight end, or will they try to get another pass catching tight end?
Could be.
We'll see. So when you look at it like that, and the fact that the Vikings roster needs to get younger just in general, because they've had to use free agency to plug holes. And they've done well going that route. The Aaron Jones and revitalizing the defense with Brian Flores' direction, finding the type of players he likes and plugging them in. But they need to get younger guys on rookie contracts who have upside. So I would imagine they probably will maybe want multiple picks. And this would be the year to have a pick or two more, because, they're saying like between 35 and 75, there's good value out there. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kwesi moves down from that pick. But it may be a situation where more teams willing to move down and up. So you're going to need teams who are motivated to move up in the draft and giving up that tactic. Because the Bears are actually thinking about moving down
from 10, right?
So it would take more to get the Bears to give up that 10th overall pick than the Vikings at 24. So the Bears conceivably could get swap the first round picks, move down, get another pick for later in the draft, and probably get a pick for the 2026 draft.
Right.
I mean, it's the price you pay for trying to get in the top 10, right? So the Bears situation is similar to the Vikings. They both are going after offensive line help during free agency. I think maybe both teams will be looking to still draft offensive linemen and build depth. So, because behind, Darisal's coming back, but they didn't bring back Cam Robinson, right? And Quisenberry's the best tackle backup. They're going to want to get another backup tackle.
Another tackle. Well, I think they might have gotten a swing tackle in free agency. I think they're still looking mostly at maybe another guard, or at least someone to compete with
Will
Brandell. They signed the center, and they signed Will Fries
from the
Colts. They could use a guard, maybe Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. I mean, their best case scenario has got to be that a quarterback falls down where they're drafting, not for them, but but then someone's like, okay, we got to get up there. Like this guy we didn't think was going to be there is there, because that's or any other position, but quarterback's one that people will get kind of antsy about and make a move for.
You want more quarterbacks drafted higher to push the other players down.
Exactly.
Jackson Dart, 10th overall.
Yeah, right. We always forget whatever you see about mock draft quarterbacks. It's always going to be higher than what you think. But
it's always a team that does something wacky with quarterbacks.
Yes.
Falcons with Michael Penix Jr. So yeah, but I think the Bears are looking. They're still looking for offensive line help. They may draft a tight end to give Braxton Jones run for his money. They're looking at another running back, and Keenan Allen left us via free agency, and so they could use a slot receiver. Even though they signed a couple guys who profile more as kick returners at that spot. So, and they also want pass rushing from the end, and wide receiver. I saw one mock draft that has Daniel Jackson from the Gophers getting drafted late in the draft by the Bears. I take that. Runs good routes, solid hands. Had a productive season for the Gophers. So it's going to be interesting. And then we can sit back and see which team had a better offseason.
We always think the Bears had a good offseason, and then it turns out that maybe there was – I thought they were going to be really good last year, so we'll see if they're better. Again, I think the Vikings really need to bolster their depth, like you were saying, for not as much this year as future years, because you can't just keep writing big checks. At some point, you got to have those low-cost, 4-year, cheap contract guys pan out. One starter at the end of last year from the last 3 drafts. That was Addison. That's it.
Just like Diamond and Kwesi because in the scouting department, because you got teams like Philadelphia, Detroit, and the Rams who have rock star front offices who hit on 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks and find guys who can contribute that way. Yep. And Kwesi has nothing to show from his first draft. Nothing.
That's the next phase. That's the next phase of the organization. They're doing everything else right, pretty much, except the draft. They got to figure that out.
Yeah, they do. When you start stacking bad drafts, that's how you leave holes. And then the holes, you need young guys to come through. You need a couple of lower round picks to click. You need not to swing and miss too bad on the first round pick, like Lewis seen. So,
and they need big things out of last year's 2 first-round picks, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner.
I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get it from J.J. I'm a J.J. guy.
Yeah, he's a Chicago native. You have to like him, right?
Played hockey too.
Yeah, he's a hockey guy.
The Vikings and a hockey-playing quarterback.
Love it. Hey, really quick before we go, you're out of Twins on Wednesday. This isn't so much a debate topic. Just wanted to hear your perspective on that team, what you've been poking around at, what you're hearing over there at Target Field.
Yeah, I just think the Twins, they need to stack some wins sooner than later. There was a little bit of malaise in the clubhouse yesterday before the White Sox game. So winning that game, the way they won it with Buxton making a tremendous catch, I'm sure was a jolt of adrenaline to everyone. But they got to take advantage of this week. And you had the beatable White Sox team and the beatable Angels team. Then you go to Cleveland, and I think after that you go to Boston. So they need to get right this week. Or like I said, it seemed like there was like some really negative vibes in that clubhouse Monday. Like they were in a rut, like they were in a hole and wondering if they were going to get out of it. And plus, the guys who were around last year went through it last year. Good man, we're doing this again. We're 7-12 again, or 7-13 again.
7-15, yeah.
15, yeah. I mean that could be a psychological drain on you. So
yeah.
They need to take care of this. They need to break the slump by beating up on the Sox.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they wind up doing it. I have, if they don't, we're a ways away from this yet. Even if Reusse was on the trade everybody bandwagon and tirade this week, but like they got they got guys like this won't stand forever. Like the way things ended last year. If this is still status quo in June, we're going to start talking about firings. We're going to start talking about guys who could get moved, who you would have never thought would get moved at the start of the season.
I agree. I agree. And it just is part of, like I said, there's a black cloud over this franchise right now.
Yeah.
Just culmination, what's happened ever since they won in the postseason in 2023. This black cloud's been forming, and it's not going anywhere.
No.
So they either win or sell the team, or probably fans would like to see both.
Some combination thereof. Royce Lewis starting a rehab assignment soon, so that could mean he's back, within a couple weeks at least. Like if everything goes well, no setbacks, maybe 10 days or so, get him back. That'll give him probably a jolt. But It's going to take more than he's not magic. It's not. It's going to take more than him. Someone else is going to have to hit alongside of him. Keyshaw looks good, but someone else has got to hit next to him. He can't just come back and hit 3 grand slams every game.
Well, your shortstop, your well paid shortstop, and you're almost as well paid center fielder have to start playing like 5.2 WAR players.
Buxton's been fine.
Last time I checked, he had a 730 OPS.
That's okay with me.
No, that should not be okay.
Buxton's the only good thing this team has going right now. He's not. I don't love the OPS. The OPS is fine. He's been great this year. He's the only reason to watch this team. Correa, on the other hand, is a problem.
An all-star. They need to be an all-star, man.
Correa's the problem right now. He's got to get it together.
He's running like he's 50 years old, too.
Reusse called him 90 the other day. That's a little harsh, but I don't know. Reusse would know. All right, Lavelle. Appreciate it. Good luck over there at Target Field. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff as usual from Lavelle. I was talking to him. He was over at Target Field yesterday when he recorded that. A couple kind of postscripts from that as we go to the cooler. Twins do win that game 6-3. They got an early lead, then they gave it back. David Festa, only 4 innings. A lot of short starts for him this season, but the bigger takeaways from this game were Trevor Larnach continues to kind of turn his early season slump around. He homered. Byron Buxton struck out the first 3 times, but the 4th hits a 2-run homer to give the Twins the cushion they need. Luke Keeschel steals his 5th base in 5 games. He is already the team leader in stolen bases and, in fact, tied a major league record with 5 stolen bases in his first 5 games in the majors. That is amazing. In an era where stolen bases are starting to become more part of the game. The rules that were implemented a couple of years ago, the pickoff rules, do make it a little bit easier to steal bases. He is making an immediate impact for the Twins. They're 9-15 right now. Sounds better than 7-15. If they can finish this off with the sweep against the White Sox today, assuming they are able to play, looks like a little bit of rain in the forecast today, but if they're able to play, get to 10-15, try to have a good weekend series with the Angels, and go from there. Also, you probably don't need me to tell you about this, but Patrick Reusse, tremendous piece today on Tony Oliva and Kent Herbeck, Twins legends, both of whom suffered strokes recently, are recovering. Patrick talked to both of them. Just a fantastic piece. Patrick at his best, talking baseball, talking compassion, talking about 2 guys who are of the utmost importance in Twins territory, wishing them both well. Go read that piece. I'm sure Reusse and I will talk about that piece and those guys a little bit more on Monday's show as well. Before that, Chris Hine expected to join me on Friday's show to set up Wolves-Lakers Game 3. Sure, we'll have plenty of draft talk on tomorrow's show as well, plus Wild versus Vegas Game 3 results as well. So plenty to get to on tomorrow's show. Expecting to do more Wolves bonus podcasts over the weekend as well, so listen around for that. Until then, I am Michael Rand. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Back at it again tomorrow.